Okay, so this is a short video showing you how to keep track of your sources for an annotated bibliography. So as you can see here, I'm looking up Sam Adams, and I don't want the beer, I want the revolutionary figure. So I'm going to click here on Wikipedia, and let me make the screen bigger. Hang on one sec. And here is a picture of Sam over here, and it says he was born in 1722, died in 1803, one of the founding fathers. He was the second cousin to President John Adams. He was born in Boston and graduated from Harvard, was an unsuccessful businessman, a tax collector, and then he went into politics. So I could copy, let's say, these first two paragraphs here. Let's just say we wanted to get him up to the Boston Tea Party. So I'm going to copy those first two paragraphs and put them in a excuse me, in a Word document. So here you go. You would do this in your shared Google Doc. I'm just going to paste it in, and then I want to say where that came from. So I write down my source, and I grab the Wikipedia address up here. Can't see the subject line up there, but you'll see in a second that there it is. And people are pretty familiar with Wikipedia, so you don't really need to annotate that too terribly much. Okay, sorry about that. I lost my record button. So I just write Wikipedia article for basic background. So let's say I want to get some more information about our good friend Sam Adams. So now instead of typing just in Sam Adams, I'm going to type in Sam Adams space SITE :.edu. And what that does is it restricts my search results to websites that end in .edu. So that should get me more scholarly sources. I'm going to hit enter. And here's one from the Hanover College History Department. So let's see what that is. And this looks like something that Sam Adams actually wrote. So if I were to use that, I could cite that and say, this is something he wrote in, looks like 1772, and it's part of the Committee of Correspondence. And I can blow that up so we can see it a little better. So 1772, Committee of Correspondence. And if I did in fact use something from there, I would copy this down, go back into our document, and I would say, quote from that article, if there were some quote that I thought was relevant, and I would say it came from, this is a 1772 piece that Adams wrote as part of the Committee of Correspondence when revolutionaries were organizing against the British. Taxes and acts. Right? So that what that does is it shows that I know what I'm talking about in here. So it gives context, and then I could also say it comes from Hanover University, I think, or Hanover College. Let's see which one it is. So if we cut this off at hanover.edu, it takes us to the Hanover College History Department. Hang on one sec. Now you can see it a little better on the side here. It's the Hanover College History Department website, so that's probably pretty reliable. So we go back into the document, and we can say it comes from the Hanover College History Department. A few times so you can see that, and there we go. Okay, that is an annotation right there. It describes the source. So let me find a slightly better source, so we can, this is the sort of thing you want to find and put in your paper. So I'm going back to that search I did, Sam Adams with site :.edu. And so that, here's one from, it's stcc.edu, to see what that is. But this is a profile of Samuel Adams, and it talks about how he was persistent advocate for resistance against Britain, and then it compares his talking about how the colonies should resist against Britain to his actions in, so you can see it, his actions in 1786 when he is opposed to a guy named Daniel Shays, who we'll learn about, and Shays leads a rebellion called Shays Rebellion. And I read this sentence here, make it bigger so you can see it. Adams felt like the contrast between the colonial protests, the ones that he was part of, and rebellion of the 1760s and 70s, that's all that he's part of, and the court closings and protests of 1786. This is after the American Revolution has begun, and the peace treaty of 1783 that ends the war with Great Britain. So he feels like these later protests couldn't be greater, and for Adams, the key difference is the revolutionaries resisted the tyranny of a monarchical power, but by 1786, the government was in the hands of the people of Massachusetts. So uprising against Massachusetts, not okay because the leaders of Massachusetts are democratically elected, whereas uprising against the king, totally okay because, as we learned in the Declaration of Independence, the king is doing all these awful things. So if I want to say all that, what I should do is copy this link. So this is the URL. I'll grab it here and copy it. And then I'm going to paste that into my research piece. And I would summarize what I just said, right? Part about okay to oppose monarchy, not okay to oppose elected government. And I might even paste it in there. So that's in my own words. And then here's the source. And then I might even paste in a little bit of actual words in here. So let's say this was the paragraph I liked up to here. So I would paste this in. And it's okay that it looks like that font. Maybe I'd grab that whole quote, but let's just say I wanted, just up to, he thought that the insurgents should be immediately executed. And then I got that information from this source. And then now the question is, what is this source? What is stcc.edu? So let's cut off the source at stc at there, and let's see what this is. And it looks like it's the Shays Rebellion website. And so we've got to sort of search around and see who put this together. And then down the bottom, it's got about this site, and it's by Springfield Technical Community College in Springfield, Massachusetts, which is near where Shays Rebellion took place. And if we click on about this site, it tells you about this project. It's a collaboration of a couple different people in the area. So you would describe that in your, here, you could go like this. Just sort of copy that piece, but then you would put that in your own words. If it's got this weird stuff around it, just strip out that formatting. So you don't want the highlighting. Highlighting. Oh, I pushed the wrong thing. There we go. No color. And anyway, I'm doing this wrong. Stop highlighting. No color. You could get that right. So that's the information there. Let me try pasting it again, and just you do just text. There we go. That's better. And again, you may have to play around with some of the stuff as you go here. And so you might, in your own words, say these seem like reputable groups. So I can rely on this information. And then that's your, that's what this is. It's a Shays Rebellion website. And then you should say STCC is Springfield Technical Community College, and it explains it there. So that's an annotated bibliographic entry. And I'll show you one more. So this was that same search for Sam Adams site:/.edu, and this is from American Studies at the University of Virginia. And when I click on this, it's got some pretty good information about Sam Adams, and it talks about Sam Adams occupies a distinguished place. And let's say I really liked some of these things, where he was born and where he grew up in an atmosphere of politics, this thing down here. I want to copy this website, so I'm going to copy this. But I have no idea what this is. xroadsvirginia.edu. So what I should do is go back to the site and cut it off at there and try to see what it is. And look, it's American Studies at the University of Virginia. University of Virginia is a pretty reputable place. So we might want to check that out. It's maintained by this person at the University of Virginia, but that looks pretty good. But if we go in a little more and just see what cut it off at Hyper Parrington is, there's like a parent directory. We can hit volume 1. And if we just play around a little bit, this says this is volume 1 of Vernon L. Parrington's Main Currents in American Thought. And so he wrote it in, looks like 1927. So you probably haven't heard of Vernon L. Parrington before, but you could look him up and find out that he was an American literary historian and scholar, and his history won the Pulitzer Prize for History in 1928. So it's probably pretty good. Copy that in, and then you can explain that this site from the University of Virginia has a document, has a part of a history written by Vernon L. Parrington, Vernon Lewis VLP. You're on a first name basis with him. You'd spell that out. And then you can paste that in there. That's who this is. And so if the UVA is hosting this at their, from the University of Virginia's American Studies page, right, has part of a history written by VLP of Sam Adams. So that's a pretty reputable source also. So these descriptions down here are annotations, and I'll show you some annotations as we move forward, but you're describing the information that you found. So the info that you got from here would go up here, info up here, and then this is the source, and then this is your annotation describing the source. And hopefully that makes sense. Describe the source. Why is it reliable? And as we get more sophisticated, we can look at instances